Hey friends, Lee Brown here with our Realtor Tip series with a very serious topic today. And I know that y'all like laughing about some of the small stuff, but today I am dealing with a situation that many of you have, and that's a time under contract when the appraisal doesn't match the offer to purchase. So when we have a house that goes under contract, buyers, you should know how the process works, and frankly, sellers, you should know too. That signed contract is sent to the buyer's lender, who is then going to order the appraisal. So I, the listing agent, don't get to pick the appraiser. The seller doesn't pick. You, the buyer, don't pick. The buyer's agent doesn't pick. The lender's putting it out into the pool. Caveat, if you're paying cash, you can still have appraisals, but they're not going to be the same kind of appraisal scrutiny that we see with a mortgage lender's loan. So anyway, this appraisal was done and did not match the contract price. So the buyer's agent's slightly unglued right now because she doesn't really know what to do with this, and emotionally she's reacting with the buyer, and that's pretty normal because your realtors love you buyers and they really want you to have the best outcome. And they don't like hiccups. But when hiccups happen, we have to know what to do, because in this scenario, the buyer does want the house and the sellers do want to sell. So we got to figure out the answers. When a house does not appraise, three possible things could happen. The first one is the buyer can pull up stakes and walk away. Now in North Carolina, if you do that during the due diligence period, you get your earnest money back, but you've left your due diligence money behind, but you can terminate. Outside of the due diligence period, technically you would lose your earnest money, but it becomes a conversation of all parties as to what the best outcome should be. I can't answer for other states. You should totally ask your best professional realtor what your options are if you want to walk away with a house that does not appraise. The second option could apply, and that's where the buyer can make up the difference in cash between the appraised value and the contract value. Now, if we were dealing with $2,000, that's an easier ask than the scenario I've got, which is $30,000. And in North Carolina, we have reasonable prices, so y'all can imagine that's a fair percentage of the house price. So we're trying to figure this out. And the third option is that the seller can bring the price down to match the appraised value. Most sellers don't want to have to do that because it's a lot of money. So we as realtors would love to go to bat for our sellers, but in 2009, the Home Valuation Code of Conduct legislation was passed, and it's a hot mess. Won't go into that now, but it changed our appraisal scenario and ran a lot of our good local appraisers out of business. But because of that, I, the listing agent, can't really have much of a conversation with the appraiser lest I be convicted and accused of trying to impact the numbers, because that would be wrong and unfair, even though I'm pretty educated about the market. So when we did call the appraiser just to say, hey, where did the number come from, and got the rather abrupt and brisk feedback that he was not going to talk to us, called the lender, hey, we're confused because on this particular property, the sellers had an appraisal done at the time of listing to verify the price. So we had a good appraisal, which led us to a lot of the confusion. The lender looked at the appraisal and found the anomaly that caused the low number, so it's been resubmitted for consideration. So we're going to have an extension now on the contract as we try to figure out how to make sure the buyer is getting a fair price and the seller's getting a fair price, and that a subjective opinion in the marketplace isn't necessarily upending everyone. Y'all, that's what a professional realtor does. Websites won't do that for you. And frankly, if you've hired a brand new inexperienced realtor, that's okay. They have to learn. So just ask if your realtor is new or inexperienced, if they have a broker and a mentor available to them, because we want them to learn and get better and be the best possible counsel they can be to you during these very rough times, because we just honestly never know what's going to come down the pike. That's why you want a realtor. So make sure you tune in here for more tips. And if you need a realtor in the Charlotte and Concord area, I'm your girl and I've got people. And if you're somewhere else, well, I got people there too. And I'd love to connect you to a professional. In the meantime, tune in, subscribe. See you next time.